What's up everyone, Nishi here, and welcome to part 2 of our Megatin reprint discussion video. Hopefully you all enjoyed part 1, well, like apparently you did because you're here to see part 2. So, in this half we are going to be talking about Cybernetic Horizon and Soul Fusion, and how the reprints from those two sets are going to look in the Gold Sarcophagus Megatins that are coming out this August. Alright, without further ado, let's get started. Alright guys, so first up, we have what I believe are probably going to be like the biggest chase cards of these Megatins. Finally, the Danger archetype is going to be reprinted. I was looking at the rest of these sets, and there's actually not too many high dollar cards that haven't already been reprinted that are really going to push the sales of the Megatins. So I think that from Konami's perspective, it makes a lot of sense that the Danger cards are going to be in here. The archetype is obviously like super splashable, so when it is reprinted, I think everyone's gonna want to pick up their sets of everything. This is of course barring a ban list hit, but like unless they hit all of the big three, like if they hit Nessie, Jackalope, and Tsuchinoko, then the engine might die. But like unless they do that, I think that the engine is still gonna be very viable one way or the other. The archetype's just so free, like the cards are so good. Anyways, so the cards actually have all dropped a lot in price in anticipation for the Megatins coming out. It feels like not that long ago, right? Like Bigfoot was like 20 to 25, Nessie was 50, Jackalope as an Ultra was 25, and Tsuchinoko was like $45. However, these prices have calmed down a lot. So right now we're looking at Bigfoot at around $12, Nessie and Tsuchinoko are around $25 to $30, and Jackalope's actually down to like 10 to 12. I think that even after the reprints, the originals are still gonna be pretty highly sought after, given that they're the original Secret Rares. I don't actually see original Nessie or Tsuchinoko going below that $10 to $15 price point, though original Bigfoot and original Jackalope will probably trend down towards $3 to $5 depending. I think it'd be pretty cool to see Jackalope though as a secret rare, because then it would like match the rest of the cards, so fingers crossed for that. But like, given Konami's tendency to like short print a lot of stuff, I personally like wouldn't be really surprised to see all of these Danger cards short printed in the Megatins, which would definitely cause the prices of these cards to like jump back up again after they've dipped. Like Danger are a TCG exclusive archetype, right? So I don't actually think they're going to get axed anytime soon. I think they're going to see more play when they're finally out in the OCG, and then after that they'll get axed. So like, I mean really, if you've already sold your Danger cards, like I wouldn't worry about it. I'd still be happy. Like I sold my last copy of Nessie for $40 US like a couple weeks ago. No, maybe that was like a month or two ago now. I've lost track of time, but like I'm pretty happy with that. But like, I mean, if you still have it, I have friends that are still holding on to their Danger stuff, and they're asking me like, should I sell it or should I like try to just get rid of it right away? And what I tell them is that honestly, if you're gonna get full value for it, then it's something that I would move, but I wouldn't lowball yourself to move it, right? Like don't go around and try to get rid of it at like 50-60% just to move it, because I think that the cards are still going to retain some value even after the reprints. Next up, let's talk about Cyber Dragons. So they're actually still a pretty strong tier 2 rogue deck that's seen a little bit of competitive success, but like I wouldn't consider them like top tier by any means. I'm actually pretty surprised that these cards have retained as much value as they have. Rev System and Hertz are both sitting at around $7 a piece right now, and Seeker's actually currently sitting at about $10. I was fully expecting these cards, like before I looked them up, to be a lot lower right about now, especially given how close we are to them being reprinted. I expected them to be closer to that like $4 to $5 price range, but these are definitely cards that I would move sooner rather than later. I think that the reprints of these are actually going to be treated as being pretty like bulky. I don't really see them staying above more than like that $2 to $3 price point right after they're reprinted, for both the originals and the reprints. If the deck is something that you're playing, I'd probably like sell the deck, and then pick it up again afterwards. But like right afterwards, because like that being said, I don't think that the deck is going to be hit on a ban list or anything like that anytime soon, given that I think that after the next ban list, like depending on when that is, the Cyber Dragon cards are going to rebound in price. So what I'm expecting is like the cards are like whatever price they are now, I think that they're going to dip right all the way down to like that $3 to $4 price range, maybe $2 to $3 at around the time of the Megatons coming out. They're going to sit around there, people are going to hate them, and then we're going to get a ban list come out, and Cyber Dragons aren't going to be hit. Cyber Dragons are going to look like a really decent off-meta choice that is going to catch a lot of people off guard and is potentially a new meta deck, and that's going to cause the price to go back up a little bit after as well. So don't feel too bad like if you're unable to move these cards right away, because I feel like there is a lot of potential for them to increase later down the line. But yeah, so that's a little bit of price action that you guys can look forward to if you guys can hopefully buy these cards at the right time. Alright guys, so I want to make a quick note about Borel Sword Dragon here. At the time I'm making this video, Battles of Legend is actually just coming out. So the price of Borel Sword Dragon is kind of up in the air depending on how short printed the card is. I mean, if it's going to be one of those cards where it's one per case, then the card, you know, obviously it's not going to be as cheap as I thought, but if they don't short print it at all, it's going to be a lot cheaper. So I predicted the reprint price in Battles of Legend for Borel Sword Dragon to be between $30 and $40, and I'm going to stick to that. Right now the original is going for about $35, and the reprint is going for between that $25 to $30 price point. I think that the card was printed a little bit less than people were expecting, so I am expecting that price to increase a little bit. Anyway, so back to the Megatins. I actually think that this card isn't going to be included in the Megatins. I think that it's going to be excluded, and then it's going to be seen elsewhere later in the year. I think that it's a big card and it's going to really help push certain products. So maybe that's going to be an OTS pack, and it's going to encourage a lot of people to join tournaments to get that ultimate rare version. Or alternatively, it's going to be in Dual Devastator, and it's really going to help to push the sales of that set. So it's kind of up in the air. If it does get the reprint in the Megatin, then I would expect this reprint Megatin version as well as the Battles of Legend price to drop a lot, maybe down to that like $20 price point. Alright, so next up we have Thunder Dragon cards. There are actually a couple of factors that we're going to take into consideration here when we talk about Thunder Dragons. So first up, there's the ban list. How are Thunder Dragons going to get hit, if at all? You know, we could hit Dragonhawk like they did in the OCG. We could limit Colossus because it's like a really free, really big body Thunder King with inherent protection that's kind of broken. Or like, do we not hit it? Do we just think, you know, Danger / Chaos Dragon Levianeer is the problem card and leave Thunder Dragons themselves untouched? It's like it's kind of hard to tell, right? And then secondly, most of like that main deck stuff was an ultra rare. So Dragonhawk, Roar, and Dark are all ultra rares. So the price I think will depend a lot on if like the reprints are secret rare, which would push the prices of the ultra rares down, or if they're reprinted as supers or rares, which would push the prices of the ultras up, assuming that the deck is like still viable. I mean, like historically, right, we haven't seen too many ultra rares keep their value for that long. I'm surprised, to be honest, that like even Dragon Dark and Dragon Roar and like the previous like Cyber Dragon cards have retained value for as long as they have. Like the Cyber Dragon stuff and Jackalope being two very notable exceptions. Realistically, I'm actually expecting the entirety of the Thunder Dragon deck to be pretty cheap after the Megatins have come out. Like there's too many cards in the archetype for it to stay super expensive. So like if the deck remains viable, then I'd say that like most of the cards in the archetype become decent $2, $3, $4 cards. But then if not, then everything becomes like less than $1. You know, even something like Colossus, right now it's like a $20 card. I think that the card, like it's not splashable enough to see play outside of Thunder Dragons, right? So if it gets reprinted, I think that both the original and the reprint are still going to go down to like that $5 to $10 range. And then if the deck gets hit, I think it's going to tank even further down to like $2, $3, $4. So either way, this is a deck that I would be moving now, because like it's going to be very heavily hurt by the reprint, and it's probably realistically going to be hit pretty hard on the ban list as well. So either way, get what value you can for these cards now, and just move on from them. Okay, so now we're going to be talking about a few other odd secret rares from Soul Fusion. So first up, Trap Trick is something that has seen play in a few rogue strategies, allowing like some random decks to win some games, because you know it grants players access to like Mystic Mine through Metaverse or Artifact Scythe through Artifact Sanctum. So it can be a very strong card, but it definitely only really sees play in rogue strategies. But the thing is, there's a lot of these rogue strategies that'll use it, which is why this card for now has like that higher price point. I think that after the card gets reprinted, it will tank a lot in value. It's currently sitting at like $28. So at that price point, definitely I would try to get rid of it. Definitely a sell. Even at $20 or so, I would still be trying to move it. It'll still hold some value after the reprint, because the reprint will be in a lower rarity. So we're looking at the original one still holding like $8 to $10, and the reprints being at around like $5. But definitely not high enough of a price point for me to justify holding on to the card still. So next up is Chaos Dragon Levianeer. I know that Tombox thinks that Levianeer is going to get hit on the ban list, but personally I don't. I think that they're going to look at hitting Danger or Thunder Dragon directly, and then Levianeer is kind of going to fizzle out of the meta as a non-factor because it's not seeing play in that deck, right? It just sees the play in the one strategy, and that's what does cause that higher price point. But I think that it's definitely not going to stay there. I mean, I think that the card is like a pretty decent like $5 card, right? But ultimately it's going to fall out of the meta, and the price is just going to drop super hard. Like 2 months from now, I'm pretty sure you're not going to be seeing it in any meta deck lists, especially given that it's being reprinted. So it's also another card that I would move like immediately. And then finally, another card to note that it is being reprinted is Orchestrated Return. So it's finally being reprinted. It did see that little bit of hype for a while when people were first talking about Orchest as an engine, as a strategy. It was around that like $10 to $15 price point, but now reality has finally set in. The card is back to being a $2 card. Yeah, it's just another card to take note of the fact that it is being reprinted. So like if you're looking to pick up a copy, now I guess is probably a pretty good time, because it can't go much lower in price. Just don't like overpay for it. But also if you have the opportunity to sell the card, then it's something that I would do, because given like when it does get reprinted, it's one of those cards that's going to be like considered bulk, I want to say. So if you can get whatever value for it now, I would go ahead and do that. Okay guys, so finally, one last note. I know I talked about it a couple times before, but we don't know if the common cards are included in those rarity changes. So if cards were previously only available as commons, is there a possibility that they're going to be printed as holos in the Megatins? I think that would be really cool. It's a lot like OTS packs where kind of anything can be holo. So I think that'd be a really nice change. There are some cards that like were common that could definitely be reprinted as holo. Like that Inzektor Link monster I think is pretty cool. I know a couple of the Incantations are common. Cybernetic Overflow is like a common card for Cyber Dragons that would be cool to have as a holo. So yeah, I think that it would be interesting to see them as holos in the Megatins, and that way they're not taking up that OTS spot, and the OTS spots can go to reprinting something that's like seen higher jumps in price, but isn't necessarily from the last couple sets. At the same time, there are a few cards that are like rares or super rares that are going to be reprinted in different rarities. So one really noticeable one in my mind is Red Reboot. Red Reboot is a super rare. I think that that card would look really cool as a secret rare, but I think all cards would look cool as secret rares. So just remember, like Red Reboot is still like a card that's like $1 or $2. So it is being reprinted. So if you can find someone to move your extra copies to and then maybe buy them back again later after the reprint. I think that's something that you should look into doing. And then a couple other cards like Incantation, Candle, and Talismandra. Those are like 2 rares that are currently sitting at like that $1 or $2 price point. Like they're only rares, but they're still worth some money. But given the wording of the way that the product is advertised, I think that there's a pretty strong chance that like Candle and Talismandra, both being rares, are going to actually be reprinted as holos in the megatins. So if you can get like that $1 or $2 even, or if you like, I know that I have a lot, or used to have a lot of those cards. Like I had like a small pile of each Candle and Talismandra, right? Because people didn't want them, they were just rares, and I ended up moving them for like $1.25 a piece. Right, so if you have those sitting around and you can move them, that's just free value for you right there. And I would go ahead and look into moving those sooner, like without getting too close to that reprint date. Alright guys, so that's everything that I wanted to talk with you guys about the megatins for now. I'm actually really curious to see what the promos are going to be. I think they're going to be a huge factor in determining how successful these megatins are. They're cards that are coming out for the very first time. They're TCG exclusives, so they're going to be really exciting. Especially if they're really strong, right? Also, the fact that it's not the same cards coming in every single megatin, that's pretty big, because I think it's going to encourage a lot of people to be buying up product. So I think that the megatins this year are actually going to be really popular. Definitely really excited for that. So yeah, that's everything for this video. If you guys enjoyed it, please make sure to give me a thumbs up and like the video, and be sure to let me know in the comments below what cards you guys are most looking forward to seeing reprinted in the megatins this year. And as always, make sure to subscribe if you want to see more content from us at MST.TV, mostly me. Tombox too, but like mostly me. And yeah, so as always, don't forget to hold on to your MST.TV.